Whether you like it or not, British football is only getting bigger and bigger, meaning clubs across the nations are looking at expanding their stadiums or even building new ones. How do you weigh up such a big financial decision and even an emotional one? We're looking at the clubs that are doing it. FA Cup winners Crystal Palace are looking at potentially expanding Selhurst Park by an extra 9,000. They're going to knock out part of the car park. Aston Villa, Villa Park, one of England's great grounds. They're looking at potentially expanding by 8,000. You've got Ellen Road, a gem of a stadium. Honestly, I loved it when I went there. Everything around it, potentially expanding by 16,000. And then you've got Bournemouth, who are only on the rise. They recently reacquired the Vitality Stadium. They're looking at expanding that and then potentially building a new stadium altogether. With the potential added revenue that a stadium expansion brings, there's loads of clubs across the country looking at doing that. You know, Leicester are looking at it with the King Power Stadium. Newcastle are exploring it. However, they're also potentially looking at a new stadium altogether. Nottingham Forest want to take the City Ground to 50,000. You've got Bramall Lane, Sheffield United wanting to expand that potentially. Chelsea's a weird one. The Stamford Bridge location is quite hard to expand on, so they're possibly looking at a new stadium altogether. Wolves have discussed Molineux in the past, and then even Ipswich with Portman Road as well. Quite a few Premier League clubs have wanted to retain that level of heritage by keeping their stadiums and expanding them instead. You know, Fulham have done that with the Riverside stand. You've got Liverpool with the Anfield Road stand. You've got City with the Etihad, potentially looking at expanding that again as well. But there are clubs not afraid to move away from that heritage element. You look at someone like Brentford, who have done it very recently. You've got Everton moving into Bramley Moor Dock next season. I'm going to keep calling it that. I don't care. You've got the ice element with someone like AFC Wimbledon going back to Plough Lane. And then you've got Tottenham renovating White Hart Lane, building on top of it. They're always the example used of this because of the added revenues that they've gained. But it's not just clubs at the top of the football pyramid that are doing this. It's ones lower down as well. You know, Barnet want to move away from the hive and go back to closer to home. You've got Forest Green Rovers have spoken about that Eco Stadium for a very long time. You've got Scunthorpe potentially, Peterborough, Wealdstone. You know, Wrexham are in that conversation as well, Southend. The new stadium conversations aren't stopping. You look at someone like Man United with the 100,000 capacity stadium they're talking about. God knows how they're going to pay for that. You've got Birmingham, you know, with their rich owners, they're talking about a new stadium as well. And then even Luton, who are building their new stadium right now. They're not moving into it next season, but possibly the season after. This brings us back to that heritage dilemma, because someone like Everton with Goodison, you know, it's enshrined in English football. It's so hard emotionally to move away from that. It's fantastic they've given that ground to the women's team, but it is such a big move to make. But they've seen the financial benefits that someone like Tottenham have reaped with the events, with the added matchday revenue. Ultimately, it's a good reflection of the growth of the beautiful game in Britain. And I say Britain because, you know, you have Wrexham and Swansea involved in that conversation as well, even though they're in the English football pyramid. But there are financial challenges and emotional challenges involved as well. You know, it's fantastic for the game. It allows fans to have a potential to go to games when you see the capacity expanded. But at the same time, it's not going to see prices dropped. It's not going to see subscription prices drop. So how much does that benefit expand? You know, I'm lucky that I have a season ticket at Tottenham, and I have that because we moved into the new stadium. But sometimes I think I'd give it up just to have White Hart Lane back. But that's just me.